Good morning, dear children. Today we will start the fourth part of our first chapter, Rise and Spread of Christianity. In the previous three videos, we discussed about the emergence of Christianity and about Jesus Christ and how it spread in the European countries. In this part, in the fourth part, we will study about the medieval Europe. What happened in medieval Europe? And the topics which we are going to discuss is here. You can see it here. Medieval Europe, fall of the ancient Roman Empire, impact Byzantine Empire. These are the topics which we are going to discuss in this part of our video. And we'll start with the fall of, we'll start with the medieval Europe. During this time, means after when we studied in the previous chapter, we studied about Constantinople and Constantine. Constantine made Constantinople his capital, and he made Christianity his state religion, and like that his Christianity prospered during his time, and it started declining during the time of Charlemagne in 1000 BC. And the decline of this Roman Empire started during the time of again Charlemagne, and it is in 1453. And during that time, Turks attacked Roman Empire, and this Roman Empire was divided into two parts: Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. Western Roman Empire was attacked by the barbarians, and it was destroyed during in the earlier time. And the Eastern Roman Empire was under the control of Charlemagne and the other rulers. They made it a prospered country, or that country was prospered under them. Till this 1453, the empire was emerged, or it was considered as a very important empire for the spreading of Christianity. And during the time when the Turks came there, and when the Turks attacked the country during the time of Charlemagne, and after that the disintegration started. The Turks attacked this Eastern Roman Empire during 1453, and they destroyed it, and they took the power. And later it was called as Istanbul, the Constantinople, which was the then capital of Christianity, was taken by the Turks, and it was named as Istanbul, and they started ruling their empire from there. And we'll study about how they came to Rome, and what was the attracting factors there, how they defeated this place, and how they acquired this Byzantine Empire. And all these details will be given in a PowerPoint presentation. You can watch that. Most of the details and most of the important points which you have to remember, which you have to study in this fourth part, will be given in a PowerPoint presentation. So let's watch the PowerPoint.
Roman Empire. Now the decline means how it destroyed. The destruction of this empire was not a simple thing, or a thing which happened all of a sudden. It is not happened due to an immediate cause. So many reasons are there that results in the decline of this empire. And the destruction started after the period of Constantine. After the fall of Constantine, the Roman emperor, so many years after that also it emerged, or it was superpower, but later it started disintegrating. The next 140 years the country was ruled by more than 40 emperors. And the fall of this Rome was not a sudden occurrence. It started during the 5th century. And there are so many reasons for its decline. What are the reasons for the decline of this empire? So before starting the decline of the empire, we'll see a short video in which you can see the pomp and splendid of this empire. Along with that, you can see the causes for the decline in a glance. So we can watch that.
Controlled the entire Mediterranean world, from Spain in the west to Britain in the north, all the way to Persia in the east. It encompassed over 2 million square miles of territory and over 60 million inhabitants. Roman technology had spread all over Europe, and Roman roads linked the entire empire with its economic, military, and cultural hub, the city of Rome itself. Rome didn't fall in a day. but over the course of more than 100 years, it slowly decayed and was unable to defend its empire. It did not crumble because of one reason, but rather a combination of reasons that took a toll on the empire's military strength and its economy over a long period of time. The traditional argument for the fall of the Roman Empire relies on the barbarian tribes that had begun invading Roman lands in the 4th century AD. The Huns invaded from the east, pushing the Germanic tribes like the Goths and Visigoths into Roman territory. The Roman armies were unable to deal with mass migration of barbarian tribes into their lands. In 410 AD, a Visigoth general even sacked the city of Rome itself. This is not the entire explanation, however. Rome was crumbling from within, not just from without. Severe corruption in the government, as well as unstable leadership, spelled disaster. A series of poor emperors led the empire to financial ruin. Some emperors were even assassinated in the chaos of civil war. Such an environment did not give the people hope in the government. Rapid military expansion and conquest was also expensive and depleted the empire's coffers. Wealthy citizens tried to get out of taxation. Eventually, the treasures of war and slaves dried up, and rapid inflation further weakened the economy. With such a lack of money, the empire was unable to field enough troops to protect its borders from barbarian incursions. In the 3rd century, the Emperor Diocletian divided the Roman Empire into two halves. While this made the empire easier to rule in the short term, in the long term, the two halves drifted apart. It made it more difficult for the western half to survive. They had to rely more and more on mercenaries to protect them, and these mercenaries had little to no loyalty to Rome. They only cared about getting paid. A combination of these internal and external pressures created a situation that even a strong leader would have had trouble dealing with, let alone corrupt and sometimes crazy emperors. One final factor dealt with religion. In the 1700s, the historian Edward Gibbon theorized that the spread of Christianity had also contributed to the fall of Rome. In the early days of Rome, the state religions celebrated Rome itself. The Roman gods symbolized civic virtue and the expectation of service and sacrifice in the name of Rome. Christianity spread a different set of virtues. Its followers were focused on the return of their Messiah and on preparing themselves for heaven after death. Many Christians questioned the emperor's divine status, and a belief in the glory of Rome gave way to a focus on the glory of God. Very simply, Christianity eroded the civic patriotism and loyalty that had helped Rome grow and expand for centuries. This process was finalized when the Emperor Constantine made Christianity the official religion of Rome. Explanations in history are never monocausal. That is, there is never only one explanation for a historical event. Life is more complicated than that. It's important to understand that though some causes have more impact than others, that is, the barbarian invasions and the taking of Rome, other causes can have a part too. Without corruption, financial difficulties, and a lack of civic virtue, Rome could have fielded larger armies that could have possibly defended its borders and properly protected the empire. Deciding which causes are most important is what historians constantly debate as they seek to unravel the past to find lessons for the future. The Roman Empire fall.
So, you might have seen about the causes for the decline of ancient Roman Empire in a glance. Now we'll discuss about each one of them. The institution of slavery is the first one. The institution of slavery. Now, what is the slavery? Slavery was a practice which was followed in European countries earlier. It means that the individuals or human beings can be owned. We can buy them and sell them like animals. So that is called slavery. And we can ask them to work in we can use them for working in our farms, in our house without remuneration. That is very important. Without giving any money, without giving remuneration, we can make those people work in our house and in our farms. Along with that, we can sell them. If we feel that they are not capable to do our work, we can sell them. That is the first one. And in this case, these slaves, those who are working in a house or in a farm, these people have no hope in life, and therefore what happened, they don't have any interest in the development and the preservation of the empire. They don't want to preserve the empire, and they don't want to give more attention to their, or they don't have any interest in the others life, along with that even in their own life, because they are living a very miserable life. And the most important thing is they are not independent. And the second thing which we have to see in this portion, that is the cause of decline, is the decline in population. Decline in population doesn't mean that the number of people reduced or the birth rate reduced. It means that the number of people or the number of Romans reduced in their empire. The reasons are postponing of marriages, infanticide, killing the small kids, and plague and epidemic which spread during that time. All these resulted in the decline of population. The empire was flooded with non-Romans. We can say that at this time most of the country was full of non-Roman people, like barbarians. All these were there. Less Romans and more outsiders. More barbarians and more outsiders were there in their country. The third one is the land was the monopoly of a few wealthy people. In this, what is the meaning of word monopoly? Monopoly means having the sole right upon something. So the land was under the control of a few wealthy people, and it was not for everyone. So in such cases, the next cause comes, that is there was a wide gap between the rich and the poor. So in this case, when the land was under the control of us very few people, um, uh, the people who are working in the farms, they are the workers of the other group. So the upper class was having the whole land under their control, and the lower people have to work in their farm. Along with that, the next one is they have to pay heavy tax. In that, these people have to pay more tax, the workers have to pay more tax, and the tax which is paid, only 1/3 of the revenue reached the imperial treasury, and the remaining 2/3 went to the pockets of the officials. So in that case also, they were looted by the officials. They have to pay more tax, they have to work more, and the land was under the control of a very few people, and the workers, the farmers and the peasants have to work under these knights or the landlords or the feudal lords, and they have to pay more tax. And there was a wide gap between the rich and the poor. The rich are becoming more rich, and the poor were striving under the rich people. And the next one is lack of loyalty. In such cases, if the government, if we feel that our government is not working for us, if the government is not standing for us, then there will be an indiscipline, and the people will lose their loyalty. They doesn't have any loyalty or love for their country. If we feel our country is for us, then only we feel a loyalty and love for our country. Here the people have to strive, the people have to live in very bad condition. That resulted in a wide gap between rich and poor. Along with that, loyalty and the discipline of the people and the army lose because of all these reasons. Because the country was not for the poor, it was for the very few people who is coming in the upper strata of the society. Now the last one is decline of agriculture and the industrial production. In agriculture and the industrial production declined because of war and instability in their country. People were not interested in giving more attention towards agriculture, industrial production and trade, etc., because they were not having any much time for that. Usually the country is always in a wedge of war, and at that time the people gave importance to war only, and the agriculture and the other sectors, that we can say it as an economic sector. The economic sector declined due to the in Roman Empire, because of all these instabilities in their empire. So we'll go through this causes for decline once again. The institution of slavery, decline in population, land was the monopoly of a very few people, then heavy taxation, gap between rich and poor, lack of loyalty and discipline, decline of agriculture and industrial production. And now these are the causes for the decline of this empire. Now another cause is the attack of the barbarians. So we will see that barbaric attack which happened during that time. Now, who is a barbarian? These barbarians are usually, we can say that they are wanderers, or those people who go from one country to another, fighting with that country, looting their wealth, money, food, etc. And such barbaric people were there, like they are Vandals, Goths, Mongols, etc. are considered as barbaric tribes. And here we can see three groups. They are called Goths, Vandals, and Franks. And the Roman Empire disintegrated because of their attack. The invaders took control of the western part of the Rome, and after defeating this place, they took the control of the western part. And in 395 CE, the Roman Empire was divided, and it was divided into two parts. The eastern part is called the Eastern Roman Empire, and its capital is Constantinople, and the western part was under the control of the Pope, and its capital was Rome. So the division happened in 395 CE. And so Rome is divided into two, Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. In this, Western Roman Empire was invaded by the barbaric tribes called Goths, Vandals, and Franks. Now the next one is the birth of a new empire. The name of this empire is the Byzantium. Byzantium is the empire born during that time. And the Eastern Roman Empire was called as the Byzantine Empire or the Byzantium. And its capital was Constantinople. And this Constantinople is modern Istanbul. And many barbarians tried to attack and to make it under their control, but it was in vain. They were not able to control it because of many reasons, and we'll see each one of them in detail. About 5 reasons are there, and we'll see each one of them. The first one is called its position, the position of the Constantinople. Constantinople was located in a strait, and therefore it was difficult to break its defense. So the position of Constantinople was in a good place. We can say that it's in a strait. Now what is a strait? It's a narrow passage of water connecting two seas or two large water bodies. It's a narrow passage, so it is difficult to attack that place and make it under their control. So its position is the first one. Constantinople's position was the first thing that helped Constantinople to protect it from the outsiders. Now the next reasons are the Eastern Roman Empire had a stronger common frontier with Europe. It was having a frontier, it was having a border with Europe, and it had a stronger administrative center and internal political stability. The political stability means the rulers were strong and they were capable, and the political stability means it was ruled by a ruler for many years and by his dynasties, and so we can say that the country was having a good political stability. That is why it's able to defeat the foreigners. The control over the economic resources. The next one is they could control the economic resources. They were having enough wealth and they were maintaining their resources properly. Now the next one is the Eastern Roman Empire had great wealth compared to other states of the medieval period. This country was having enough wealth, plenty of wealth by doing trade, by their natural resources. They were having enough wealth, and with that wealth, if a country is wealthy, what is the positive in that country can maintain a huge army. Along with that, they can, if the people who is living in that country is having sufficient food and their condition is good, then they'll stand along with the rulers. So these are the reasons that made Byzantium a strong empire, and it could control or it could continue for it as a big empire for about 900 years. So it continued as a strong power in Europe for about 900 years because of all these 5 reasons. Now we'll move to the next part, that is about the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire, it survived as a Christian capital for about thousands of years. It stands for a capital of Christianity because most of the rulers of Byzantine Empire of Constantinople were Christians, and they also propagated this religion. They made many monasteries, and they also helped in the spreading of this religion. In 1453 CE, Constantinople was captured by the Ottoman Turks, and during that time the ablest ruler was called Justinian. He was famous for his code of law called as Justinian Code of Law, and it is the three works are there: the Code, the Digest, and the Institute was his three works. And along with that, this Code of Law, like Hammurabi's Code of Law, yeah, we have studied in our last year class, like that in Babylonia, like that this Justinian Code of Law was also considered as a very popular code of law during that time, and he was famous because of this code of law. And it is a legal system which was used even in the modern European countries. Now the next topic which we have to learn in this portion is the spread of Christianity. Before starting the spread of Christianity, let us watch a video related to that.
Columns were implemented in Roman structures such as the Pantheon and Colosseum. One cultural shift in particular that resonated throughout the empire was the rise of Christianity. Originating in the Middle East, the religion found a strong advocate in Constantine I, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity. He enabled Rome's transition into a Christian state and encouraged the religion to spread across Europe. By the 4th century, after a lifespan of over a millennium, the Roman Empire declined. Factors including political corruption, economic crises, and class conflict led to the empire's decay from within, while invasions and other military threats caused it to break down from outside. Rome's ability to incorporate diverse cultures, dominate rivals, and adapt political systems to the needs of its people are all lessons to be learned for time eternal. Columns were
Now let's continue our chapter. The last portion is the spread of Christianity. The Christian missionaries worked hard for spreading this religion inside Europe and in later in different part of the world. The encouragement given by the Roman emperors, they encouraged these missionaries to spread Christianity to far off places. So they asked them to go and spread this religion. And so many efforts were taken by the Christian missionaries for spreading this religion. And within few years, this religion started spreading throughout Europe, and many European emperors accepted this as their religion. And there are so many factors that led to the spread of Christianity, and the factors are its efforts made by the Christian missionaries to spread this religion. Obviously, it's the main factor. We can say that the Christian missionaries worked hard to spread this religion. Second one is Christianity was opened to all. It was not considered as a religion which is confined to only a group of people, only to the rich or to the upper strata of the society. It was a religion which was even accepted by the kings, nobles, and even the poor and the slaves. It was accepted by everyone. Its principle was accepted by all the people, and it was simple to follow. Along with that, it was convincing for the people. So the people accepted it with wholeheartedly, and it was opened to everyone. The common people were influenced by the feelings and teachings of Christianity. Its gist was love and compassion, brotherhood, etc. So the people accepted it wholeheartedly, and they started becoming the followers of this religion very fast, because it was giving concern to the poor. It was giving concern to not only the poor, the sick, orphans, etc. So it was made as an institution which was acceptable for all, and which which accept everyone with open hands. So everyone was interested towards joining this religion and following the principles of Jesus Christ. And this institution was an excellent organization, and along with that, the excellent organization, and along with that, this the church and the principles were accepted by everyone. The spirit of sacrifice and dedication of its leaders made this religion a popular religion in the medieval period. And many rulers who accepted this religion, and they also tried to follow this religion, and it was a new idea and a new enlightenment put on the medieval Europe during that time, and most of the people and the rulers accepted this religion, and this religion spread far and wide. So then here we wind up our first portion or first part of our second chapter. And the second portion start with the crusades and about the monasteries. You can read the chapter well, and you can ask the doubts. If doubts are there in your in the comment box, you can ask, and you can watch it in YouTube, and there you can ask the doubts if anything is there. So thank you. Stay home, stay safe, and all the best.